the middle of gang wars and shot at. And I'm telling you, but he protected me. I thank God that he protected me in my youth and kept me out of harm's way. In all my foolishness and stinking thinking, he shielded me from the blast. So I choose to look back over my life with an attitude of gratitude, because Pastor Harris was not always Pastor Harris. That you know and see now, I am grateful for God's strength, because I know my weaknesses. I am grateful for the peace that's in my life now, because I know the storms that he brought me through. I am grateful for the valleys in my life, because I remember the mountains that he brought me over. I am grateful for the sunshine in my life, because I remember the dark days that he brought me out of. I am thankful for the food that he gives me, because I remember many days of being hungry. I am thankful for the joy that I now have in my life, because I remember the sorrow and pain that life inflicted upon me. I am thankful for the friends and families that he placed around me, because I remember the agony of being so lonely. I am thankful that he did not condemn me for my sins, because I remember being guilty of each and every one. I am thankful that he did not give me a spirit of fear, but he gave me a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. You know, Psalms 92, 95 and 2 says, let us come before his presence with thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for. Have you counted your many blessings? Have you named them off one by one? Do you wake up saying, thank you, Lord. Thank you for another day. Thank you for saving me yesterday, Lord. And thank you, Lord God, for what you brought me through and what you're going to bring me through today. What a mighty God we serve. He is so deserving of our praise. So remember, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Roane, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. That means it's David West Stars and Stories, the Kaz Walker Show. Dave and the boys are here this morning. Good morning, fellers. How are you today?
Yeah.
Everything good? Look, Howard's back.
Howard's back in town.
And we's getting tired of you vacationing.
Well, it wasn't no vacation, I tell you. He just been off, man.
Well, good. It's good you're back. What's been going on, fellas?
And my wife was in the hospital for 32 days. And I went in when she did and come out when she did. And man, that ain't no picnic.
No, that ain't no fun.
Mercy.
That's a long time.
Yeah. She's doing okay, though?
Yeah.
She's doing better?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good.
She got in pretty bad shape. But she's doing good, real good right now.
Good.
She come out to see me.
Yeah.
Get around like she hadn't had that.
Yeah.
Well, good.
She come in and said, guess what? I can walk. I said, I'm coming to see you. And her and I come out. She said, look here, I'm walking again.
We take a lot of things for granted, don't you, T? You can't do it.
I mean, she's frisky for her age, ain't she?
Yeah.
Sure don't look her age.
I'm about to catch old Creed, though. I'm 87, so I'm running right behind him.
Oh, goodness.
Me and Creed, we just think that's just a number anyhow.
There you go. It's all how you feel, not how old you are.
We went in this restaurant, and she said, this big black lady was there, you know, and she said, oh, there's Judge Creed Daniels. So she went, and everybody in there started looking, and she said, Creed, you working hard? And I said, yeah, he's pushing a pencil. His pencil sharp, too, said he keeps it sharp. Said, them sharp tongue and them sharp pencils get you out of all that other stuff. And this guy ran and said, you got me out of something one time. They was telling him stuff he got him out of him. Creed sitting there shaking his head. Oh, it's all fun there with him. But Dennis probably heard this, but we was up there. He was a judge in Granger County. And we did, this guy in Nashville named Daley Carson, he lives here in Scott County, and we took him down there at Conway Twitty's studio and done a record on him. Told you about that, I think, and he was the world's worst. Well, Creed called me and said, David, I got a bunch of officials up here. I said, can you get hold of that little person? I said, he's in there somewhere in the store. He said, you all wouldn't quit and run up here today, would you? He said, I got some big people out of town, and I want him to come up. I want to tell him how good he is. Like Yankee Doodle. If he did, he couldn't get the dandy in it. So, well, I said, yeah, I'll bring him. He had a Cadillac, this guy did. So we took him up there, and I took him up there, and they wouldn't let me talk to the judge. I kept saying, we're supposed to talk to the judge. And he said, well, you can't talk to the judge. He's back there at conference with some important people right now. And I was one he was waiting on, see. And I said, he called me and told me to meet him here. And he said, well, when he gets out of that meeting, we'll tell him. I said, so I saw where he's going in now. And that told that guy, said, that John's the door he's going in. I said, go back there and tell him you're here. Well, this guy just do work, so he was just, you know, he liked he was just one room under me. So he went off back there and just walked in the door, and I heard Creed holler, hey, man, we've been sitting here waiting on where David Earl at. And I went back. Then I had some frustration. Right. So they got him out. He said, you got your fiddle with you? He said, go get it. So we're going to warm up right here in the office. And he got that fiddle. Them guys, they didn't know what was going on. They said, now, this guy's been in Conway Twitty's studio on the 45 and said, play him one before we get here. And he said, I mean, it sounds worse than Mickey Mouse. Dig, dig, dig. And he's all in place. Well, he come out and he said, now, we're going to close the courthouse. It's about 11:30. Said, we're going to close the courthouse at 12. And we're going to invite every office out on the courthouse lawn. We're going to be playing for Law and Order. He said, we're going to play for Law and Order. So he said, now we got 30 minutes before y'all get out there. Because said, right now, we're going to go down at Jones' IGA. He said, we're going to go down there and walk through the store and play something for them people down there. So we went down through there, and when we did, Creed was sitting in the back of his Cadillac, that guy's Cadillac. And he had that fiddle he was squeaking about like that guy did. He said, I believe I could learn to play one. Well, I was driving, and I looked down, I was doing 60 right there in town. I said, whoo, I better slow up, I'll get a ticket. He said, ticket, I'm the judge, let it be up. I said, we got to hurry. We went in there, and he got that guy out now in this IGA. And he said, now, I want you to go down one aisle and the other because we fired everybody so they get to hear you. He went down streak, and looking over the buggies and his shoulder, zig, and he zigged it all. Come on, we got to play for Law and Order. He had, could you imagine, about 50 people out of the courthouse standing there in the yard now, and this guy standing out there zigging. And so he said, oh, there goes so-and-so, and he's a highway patrolman, said, run out there and give him another lick. He played something special. He went and zigged right at the car, and the guy rolled the window, zig, and everybody just looking. I got to tell Dennis this, but what happened, he'd do anything you told him to do. So he thought he was good.
Yeah.
He said there was...
I've seen a lot of them.
Amen.
He said there ain't but 3 good fiddle players in the world. He said Buck Ryan's number 2. He said, I'm number 1. Buck Ryan number 2 and Stoneman's 3.
Oh, Lord.
So he had them worked out. And so there's a snow on the ground. This is happening. I mean, you should have saw it. There's about, I guess, a foot of snow, and he's hanging around there in the store. And they was putting a house trailer in. The sun come out, and they thought they was going to get on where it froze. Had this big house, just putting on some of my property. I was renting the space. They backed that thing in there, and that sun was about 60 degrees that day. That stuff was melting, and we had to stop. Wherever it stopped, it marred up. So he said, well, we'll have to wait till something happened or get a dozer or something here. And it's flat. So he got his record. He said, let me get unhooked and see if I can get out of here. Well, he got stuck. And he was down under that wrecker, blocks of wood, trying to jack it up. And I said, you know, that poor old guy needs a little music while he's down there.
Oh, Lord.
And there's a cedar grove there. And I said, get your fiddle, Carson. He got his fiddle, and he started fiddling, and he walked out the door and said, now hold it, be real quiet. We walked up there at them bushes, we was about 20 feet away from the wrecker. I said, now, you don't do nothing to get up there. And then you jerk that fiddle out and on to shoot that turkey buzzard. That's what he said. I don't know what he's playing, but he called it that. He got up there, and that guy was under that wrecker now, checking it up, putting blocks, trying to get the wheels up out of them ruts. And that guy didn't hear him coming because the snow's real soft. He got right that truck, and he said, dig, dig. That guy jumped up and hit his head on something. Back at wrecker, he come out, he cut his head, it was bleeding. He was feeling his head bleeding, he stood and looked at that guy, and he stand right in front of him. Dig, dig. We was dying like this guy. Dig, 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 dig. No, I mean, I wonder what he told you. When you heard the story, he told his wife, I was under that record. This guy started playing the fiddle for me. Wasn't that something? It'd be hard to believe, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Tell me about that ocean property out in Tennessee. Oh, we used to have some fun out there, guys. The Creed would do everything, you know. He was judging. And Zane was telling me this, said he also was a lawyer, too. He took him, but then it on the side and said, they had this guy up for moonshining. And they had a quart of moonshine back there and said, it's coming up to, the case was coming up. And he went back and told the guy, said, now, we got to go back and get the evidence. So he had the quart of moonshine and he passed it around all them lawyers. He tasted, boy, some good stuff. But they didn't know what they were doing and they broke it all up. Well, when he went after the judge said, where's the evidence? He said, I don't know where the evidence is, but here's the jar it come in. They said, I don't think you can do something with an empty jar and got the old guy out of it. Oh, he could do some funny cases, old Creek could. But that's just something I would see him sitting in the back of that car. And so, and I told this on him, he was judge. So when he closed the courthouse down, this girl had come a long ways to get a divorce. And she said, Judge said, Gunner said, you close the courthouse down. I'm supposed to get a divorce here. I'm supposed to be here at 12 o'clock. He said, well, we're going to take care of it. He said that before he went to Arthur Jones played, well, he come back, it's 12 o'clock. She said, Judge said, are you going to get my divorce? He said, we're going to go eat. We're going to take you out to eat, me and David Earl, while they keep. He left him there, and that boy and his son playing guitar. You know, they need one going to play. He left them playing, and then him and was going to go get something to eat. He said, we got to get something to eat. It's lunchtime. And he said, go with us. She said, I don't know lunch. He said, get in the car. You worry too much. So she gets in the car with us, and we go to eat. And what it did was she wouldn't eat. She drank a glass of tea. She said, I'm not hungry. I'm nervous that I won't get this divorce over with. And everybody, I reckon, had talked to him. Me and her went and sat down in the car, and it was about 15 minutes. He was trying to get away from everybody. They had something for case here again. He got in the car, and he said, you can't go nowhere since it's bothering you. You can't even eat nowadays. You get aggravated with something. Somebody want you on the case. And she said, Judge, you're not going to get my divorce right. I told you I was going to get it. He said, we'll just do it right here. He said, Judge can try a case anywhere. He said, don't have to be in the courthouse. He looked over me and said, now tell me the problem. So she told him, and what all we had done to her and all. Something that she done told in 30 days and all that, yeah. Okay, we'll just divorce you right here. Said, you're going to have to have a witness, though. Said, just use David Earl there for a witness. First time I ever saw her. He said, will you be a witness? And I said, oh, yeah. He said, well, tell me, do you think this girl needs a divorce? And I said, yeah, she looks like it. He said, that's all I need. He said, went through the whole rigmarole and hit the desk, the gash real hard. And he said, consider yourself divorced and don't get married for 30 days. He don't use his debit. Don't you get married for 30 days, he said, 30 days. So we took her on and left her out, and he charged her up to get something. She paid him so much. Well, 2 weeks went by, and I was playing on Gay Street. That's when they had them horses running up and down the street, and they blocked off Jake Butcher for governor. And I heard somebody, she wore high heels, and everywhere she would walk, she clunked them things, I heard some high heels clunking, and I said, did she just come to mind and looked up, and she was standing there looking at me. I said, did you get your divorce? Did I? You're my witness, you ought to know. I asked him what happened. He said, we probably took care of it. That's his out. We can tell some of the funniest tales on him that we had. He was just a fun guy.
Well, he knew how to work that jury, though, boy.
Him and Zane both.
Said he's trying to case somewhere. And said there's really an attorney for the witness said he really put out a good case. And see, Creek got up and he said, now people, he said, you just bear with me. So I got a speech impairment stuff, so just bear with me, And they just had him sitting right up on the edge of their seat, boy. He done had him in his hand. Oh, Judge, he said, get out of here, it's over.
His brother Zane up there trying somebody's case, and this guy was being tried for drunk driving. He was right there for the other case. He was next. And that boy said, well, Judge, I don't know why I got to get paid for drunk driving. Not said Zane, that other lawyer, said, we both left Village Barn at the same time. Said Zane was drunker than I was. He said, Judge, Your Honor, I didn't get caught. Oh, he was funny, man. He get him right in his hand, though.
Yeah.
He had people. He was so nice. They called him the laughing lawyer, smiling lawyer. And first thing he'd do, he'd make friends with the guys against. Oh, buddy, and I'll tell you what. Now, I'm not up here to make you feel bad or nothing to cut you down now. I want you to know right now, I respect you highly. He may be your lawyer, but I respect you too. Well, that boy started liking him. He used to fix a slice of him.
They sent him up the river.
Yeah. Oh, he was something else. Oh. But anyhow, we always go up there and have a good time when we go up to see him, take him out to eat. And usually he picks them where he wants to go, pick places I ain't never been before. But they're good places. He likes a lot of them.
He knows all the best places.
Creed knows all them places to eat, I tell you.
Oh, yes. We went up there to Captain Galley's and it was closed. It didn't open till 3 o'clock. Turn right here, go down there. There's another big restaurant. I know it, didn't even know it was in there. It's a big restaurant, had all kinds of good stuff. He said, I said, well, I didn't know this place was here. He said, yeah, it's a good place. I went there and it's about a lot like it, and, Oh, he's just, he's a mess, Creed was. And he always used to carry a $500 bill on him. I got one, Jake gave me one, but Creed would get him up in some of them shows, for his private party, big Central Club or something, and he'd get him up and going to try somebody. They'd say, try us a case, sure. And he'd get up and try a case. Oh, and we had this boy that Zane said the reason Creed liked him so good, said he had a speech problem like Creed did. Zane said they could communicate good because they understand each other better. And he got that guy. You got to imagine this now. Jake Butcher and him. The Central Club was a fancy club. At 4 Central, every Central had their picture up like this, and it would have been there. And you had to know somebody to get in there back in those days. And I guess you had to be go in with a cinch or something, but they'd hire the bands. They hired me to play it I played for a long time. They had big time gambling. Fast Eddie was there, and from out Vegas, boy, he was good. But anyhow, we took his kazoo and put it in a long brass horn, a real horn. And we took it and put a kazoo in it so that boy could play it. And he could do the manner, do-do-do-do-do. He could do it, do-do-do. That thing was playing a horn because he had a big horn to slide and everything, but it doesn't work, but he do-do-do. And me and Zane was sitting there and they was having one of them big dinner meetings. And the women had on gloves and everything. They was sitting there dressed top notch. They wouldn't even put their hands on the table. It was one of them formal things. Everybody had on tux. And Zane, we peeked through the door at him because we was going, when Jake's going to come out, he didn't say, I hate to do this. I'd rather be in there with you all. Well, he said, we ought to give him something to cheer him up with. I said, look at it, just waiting on their food. I said, look at it. I said, I'll cheer him up. So I went and got Robert. And I said, get your horn. He got his horn, and I said, I want you to play it. I said, there's 3 rows of them, that's 60 people. I said, you go down this row. First off, you introduce yourself. Be real polite. I said, this is something big now. So he's going down, and them women's, I remember Sonia Butcher's face as red as, he come in and started right at her table. Me and Zane's back there had it peeped in. I never did tell Jake we done it that way, but he come in and he said, ladies and gentlemen, said, my name is WYSH. Said, I have been chosen to play you some dinner music. Said, and he did. He rided that horn back at kazoo. And he said, my first number will be, she'll be tumbling around the mountain when she tums. He went down that aisle playing that. He come up that other and see, where you started was Jake. And when you ended over was CH.
Oh,
and
Lord.
CH, he had fun out of everything.
Right.
And he come through with CH and he said, play it, boy, play it. Right out front of everybody. Everybody's been real. I looked over at Sonia, her face was real red. I could see her talking to Jake. Where'd he come from? I don't know. Who ordered him? Of course, we stayed low. We didn't know it. We should have heard it, they said.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Zane kind of had a mean streak in him, too, about stuff like that. He
loved it. Oh, he loved getting into something like that. We was talking about it yesterday. I playing some of the big parties, I started playing a bunch of parties for him real quick. I was playing Renfro Valley, and Zane was Attorney General in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And I was sitting back in the dressing room by myself, just fiddling my banjo, waiting for a show. And we played there for several weeks. But then I looked up and here stood this guy, and it was him. He said, I'm Zane Daniel from Knoxville. He said, I watch you on the WYSH show. I was working with him, and said, I watch you every week. And said, I'm Attorney General. And I said, okay. He said, I like where you pick. I said, I was wanting to meet you. He said, you're going to be picking for me tonight. Someone sang. He's a truck driving man, or it was something like that. Of course, I had picked for Red and Fred and Marlon Buster, too. They just travel kind of light. And so me and him become friends, and from then on, we're buddies. He's one of the best friends I had. And even Creed said that. And that was the last thing he wrote before he died. Till David Earl played I Fly Away From Me. And we played that. He gave his body to science, but anyhow, we played the big memorial thing, and it'd be a lot of people there. But he was over doing one of them big parties. And at parties, they drank a little spirits here and there. Only this party, they were drinking a lot of spirits. And all of a sudden, Zane said, oh, shoot, I've got to go speak at the Lions Club here in 30 minutes. Says, after I'm pal. And some of them said, Lions Club? You ain't no shape for the Lions Club. He said, I'll take care of it. Get your banjo, David Earl. He played guitar, see. Get your banjo. He said, David Earl can get your mind off everything. I said, we'll do a little Rocky Top or something. And I said, man, what are you going to speak about? He says, drugs and alcohol. I said, well, I guess you know a lot about it. We went in there and played. Oh, he just tore the house down. We played. He got used me to walking through that. But, we got telling some of them stories, things that we'd done, places we'd been, and he'd get, see, about everybody knowed him in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. And he'd call me sometimes, let's make a trip. I'd say, okay. And he'd say, let's go to every music show up here. And we'd go into them, Dolly Parton's Uncle Bill.
Right.
He had his up at the place. Oh, there's Zane, David, get up and play one for us. He said, we'll do this one song. That's all we're going to do is Rocky Top. So we get up and do it right in the middle of what they were doing, it, like a piece of cake. And then more and more, no. I said, don't do no more now. Leave more. Daddy said, leave it. All right. No, we ain't got time. We got to be somewhere. We just doing this. Let's see and make a little speech. However we go. And we'd do them all. Ava Barber, Elvis show, wherever there's at. And Honey Brothers had a show up there. Everywhere we went, oh, y'all gonna do one? And she said, yeah, we'll do just one. Rocky Top. Oh, man. He just called me. He won't go out and play something. And we go to, anywhere we went in, they'd put us on. So, Red Director looked back there and said, David's sitting back there with Brenda Carter, and she was one with George Jones. I mean, Milwaukee or come, but she started me. And then her sat down. He said, I asked Brenda, I said, she looking so nice now. She started George, she's 14, I believe. I remember when she was 16, he bought her a Martin guitar, but I bought the guitar. She's one of them baby Martin. I kept it for a long time.
And her daddy had to drive the bus. So she was underage.
Oh, yeah, her daddy had to drive the bus. And they had to teach her.
Yeah.
And everything. George wanted her real bad. But he said, I asked Brenda, I said, Brenda, where have you been all my life? She said, well, Red, most of it I wasn't born. She was nice, too. And, they thought her sister was going to make it. She sung that song, All I Got Is Chicken Feed. You remember that song? When that Bobby Staff had that out. All the money I've got is only chicken feed.
Yeah.
Was that Bobby Staff or something like that? She didn't make many hits, I don't think, but that was a big hit.
Well, there's a lot of them that didn't make big hits.
But anyhow, when she did, they went up there to audition, and both of them auditioned, and George Brenda, instead of the other's real good, but of course Brenda was neater a little bit. She's real young, and then he said, I want that girl to travel with me. That's for Tammy.
Right.
But then he married Tammy, and she told her daddy, he said, I want David to join our group, because we had opened for Tammy. Said, I was with Bonnie and Buster, had a good deal going. Said, I want David to open shows, and they come try to get me to do it, but I didn't go with them because I started to. We're just that close, but I got thinking, I don't know him much, and it's about time he's going through them no-show. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, we better talk about you. Of all the people, you've been a manager, truck driver, bus driver.
Oh, yeah.
You've just been a little bit of a drummer.
I'm afraid so.
You played for a lot of different bands. And you down through the years.
Nah, not really. I played.
Driven for a bunch. You've driven for a bunch, haven't you?
Oh yeah, tons of them.
Who'd you travel with? Carl Perkins?
I played drums for Perkins, and not long back then. Perkins wasn't doing much. He's always was a big hit. Carl Perkins never received the kind of recognition he should have received, but he was like a superstar in Europe. But over here, of course, Elvis knocked him off the. But
they were pretty close there, and being big at the right time. Elvis just walked away with it.
I've heard Carl tell about that when he had out blue suede shoes that they'd make bets going down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd get on, of course, back then they didn't have anything but AM radio.
Yeah.
And that they'd get on that radio and start turning that dial, and they'd bet on where on that dial the blue suede shoes would be playing. It'd be playing 2 or 3 places on the dial. You know, he got an award. That was the only
He
song.
wrote that, didn't he?
Huh?
Carl Perkins wrote it, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. That was the only song that ever was number 1. Let's see, country, number 1 rhythm and blues,
And rock.
and rock. Only one. I mean, and like
Well, he made some money on that, didn't he?
yeah, but you know, Perkins was a big writer too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I believe it. You remember that old Cash song, "One Piece at a Time." I believe he wrote that, but he wrote some surfing songs for Jan and Dean. And you know, we were talking.
Did he pick? When that was Luther, his brother, or
Yeah.
Luther Perkins that played the guitar for Cash.
Right.
Didn't Carl fill in for him sometimes, or?
Oh no, Carl was always on Cash's. I mean, yeah, on the show with Cash.
Yeah.
When they'd build that show, most of the time it'd be Johnny Cash and Carl Perkins.
Yeah.
And
Boy, blue suede shoes were gigantic, wasn't it?
well, you know, of course, Elvis. A lot of people, you'll say blue suede shoes, and the first thing they think's Elvis, but Elvis isn't the one that had the big hit on it.
Yeah.
But
Anything he done was pretty big.
yes, that's
Elvis
true.
was a man, wasn't
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
he? You drove for different ones at ZZ Top.
Yeah.
You got me a picture of it, autographed picture from
Yeah.
I got over Ciderville. ZZ Top. Boy, they big, wasn't he? In rock?
Billy Gibbons.
Billy Gibbons.
Yeah. Won't ever be another.
One of those
like
boys
it.
just passed away.
Huh?
One of those boys just passed away this year.
Dusty.
Yeah.
Dusty died. And I'll tell you something about Dusty I bet you didn't know. Very few people. Did you know that Dusty was completely deaf?
No. Really?
Really.
That's amazing.
I don't know how we talked about, not me and Dusty, but some others that was with ZZ Top.
How would he play bass?
Apparently, if you remember, they always stood right in front of those amps.
Uh-huh.
He could pick up those
Vibration?
from that amp.
Are you kidding?
No, oh no,
Played bass. I mean, that's you.
that's exactly right. And I'll tell you something else that surprised me about him. He loved bluegrass music.
Really?
I had been with Vincent, Daly and Vincent.
Yeah.
And I had some of their old CDs that I had in my suitcase or something, you know, and I found that out when I was with them, and I took them and gave him to, I can tell you where I was at. I was in Columbus, Ohio. And he come up to the bus for something. Each one of them had their own bus, and don't get me wrong. But we were playing in Columbus, Ohio, and he came over to my bus for something. I don't remember what it was. And I said, I've got here. And like I said, he couldn't, I think he read lips. He was good at reading lips. And they had told me that he liked bluegrass music. And I go, oh, you could tell that made him just as happy as, and they were kind of a strange bunch in a way. They had signed a contract back when they was a garage band.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the story?
I've not heard the story, but I know they signed when they were very young,
They
high
signed
school.
a contract
Yeah.
that if any of them ever quit that band, they could not play again.
Mm-hmm. Not couldn't play with anybody else. Yeah.
Right. Or play with anybody else. And I might not should say all this, but you know, the drummer, Danny Beard, they didn't cheehaw.
They didn't get along.
Mm-mm. So I don't know. I never did know what
He
happened.
and Dusty, or
No,
the other two?
but he didn't get along with Dusty or. They had, like I said, had separate buses, and he would never be around until come showtime.
Really?
Yep. Something happened a long time.
I was going to say that happens a lot.
Right, and
especially in small bands.
Right. Of course, just them three.
Yeah, there is. And they've been together since they were kids, middle school kids.
I've got a picture of them somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but I've got a picture of them when they was young. I'm talking about real young, and they were. Have you ever seen one of those pictures?
Yeah, no beard and short.
Oh, yeah, short
hair.
cropped hair.
Look like they're getting ready to preach.
Right. Exactly. Well, did you know Billy Gibbons was a preacher?
No, I didn't know Billy Gibbons was a preacher.
You didn't know Billy Gibbons? He was a ordained Baptist minister.
I did not know that. Well, he was playing rock and roll before. I mean, unless he was ordained when he was 10. Because they started that band when they were teenagers.
I think his dad was a minister, maybe, or something like that.
He just followed in the footsteps.
But
that's pretty cool.
Or no, that's what I was told. Now, I didn't hear Billy tell that. He didn't tell me that, but I was told that when I was on the tour with him. And I'll tell you one thing about him, though, that I've never seen before.
What?
He was one of those people that couldn't buy one thing.
He had to buy 2 or 3 of them?
He had to buy not 2 or 3, but this is literally, I swear this is the truth. You know, we'd stop to fuel up the buses, and they'd all get out and go in. Of course, it'd be 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody much. And I've seen people look at him, and he'd come out, and he'd have on, like his pajamas and that old cap, you know, that he wore. And he's always usually the one that'd get out, and the rest of them would stay on the buses. But he'd get out, and he'd be looking around, and you'd see them people in there. If there was 1 or 2 in a truck stop or something there, they'd be looking, you know they'd be looking, and they couldn't place who he was.
Yeah. You'd think it'd be pretty easy to have
right, but they'd stare at him, you know, when you'd see him, and one, I can't remember exactly where we were. It seemed like it was up in Wisconsin somewhere. We went to a truck stop one night. This little old one, nobody in there but us. This little old girl is working at the cash register there, you know, with his fuel, and he'd just walk through the aisle. Everything looking, he'd pick it up and he'd look at it and lay it back down, and he'd go pick this up and look at it. Well, I got up there and went to pay for the fuel, and he was standing over there beside me, and they had a box of rings.
Like rings on your finger?
That was there, beside him. And he reached over and got one of those rings and put it back, and he was looking at them, and he said, "How much are those?" And that little old girl been looking at him, trying to figure out who he was, and she couldn't figure it out. She couldn't figure it out.
She knew he was somebody, just
right.
Not
She
who.
knew it was somebody, but she couldn't place who it was, you know. And she told him, and he said, I don't remember how much they were, $3 or $4 or something. He said, I'll take them. And she said, that'll be $3. He said, no, I want all of them. He took all of them that was on that box. And you remember the Cars?
Yeah, I remember the Cars.
Album?
Yeah.
7 of them.
Of the same, really? He had 7 of those?
7 of them. And they had a warehouse in Texas. I guess it was in Houston. I forgot where they told it was at. And they told how many square feet was in it. Full of nothing but their memorabilia that there's stuff that people had given them, and old oddball stuff that they had bought on the road. We were in Seattle. maybe Portland or Seattle one, doing a show there. And Billy said, said, we've got a boat up here. He said, I think we've got a boat up here. I bought one up here. And they got to trying to run it down, and they never did run it down. I mean, it just is on a
good
big,
work if you can get it.
There's a big, huge difference between rock and rollers and country.
Yeah, I bet.
Huge difference. And if you'll ask any driver, I'd much rather be with the rock and rollers than the country.
Really? Why? Now, what's the difference? I mean,
country, the rock and rollers, they don't mind how much money they pay you. If you do what if you're good, do what they want, you're a good driver.
They take care of you.
They take care of you. Most country ones aren't like that.
Really?
No.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example.
All right.
No, I wasn't on tour with them, but one of my best friends drove for them for years, with the Stones when they would do a tour.
Yeah.
They leased all of their coaches from a company in Corinth, Mississippi, where I'm originally from.
Yeah.
Senator's coach.
Gotcha.
That's who and they religiously released from them. I mean, leased their coaches from them. And a friend of mine, Danny Crum, always drove for them. They liked him, and they give him a Rolex watch at the end of the tour. A president. I'm not talking about a Submariner. I'm talking about they'd give him a president. They didn't think anything about maybe giving you a $5,000 tip at the end. A lot of them would give you money at the end. But now, most country ones didn't. You have to wait on your money sometimes on some of them.
And you might get a bad check, man.
No, I don't know. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, that's not true, too. It depends. And I don't know. I never got a bad check, but I've known some of them that would get bad checks,
I've had a few, not too many, in the music business, but a few.
Well, the thing is, let's say that there was a promoter that's promoting the tour, and they're going to pay for. That's where you wind up getting bad checks.
Yeah. Did you ever have to sign any kind of confidentiality clause or anything like that when you went out with these bands?
No. But I'll tell you a story, though, if you want to hear a story.
Sure.
John Cena.
Wrestler, movie star.
Yeah. They leased their coaches from the company, one of the companies I was with, All Access.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the drivers, I was never on WWE, but one of their drivers got sick, or I forgot, had some kind of gallbladder, something happened to him. They sent me to get his coach. So I stayed with him for 6 weeks till he could get back. And I have to admit, I was never a big wrestling fan until then. And now I look at it completely different than I did. How many people do you think, if they're doing one of those pay-per-view events, how many people do you think's on the payroll?
I have no idea.
Well, just guess.
50.
How many?
50.
50.
50.
500.
Really?
They have 500 people on the. There's 300 and something on just at all times.
Really?
Yeah.
It's big money business, isn't it?
They carry, I believe it was 12 coaches they kept leased at all times. You think that's for the WWE stars?
Mm-hmm. For the crew?
Crew.
So what did John Cena do?
Wait a minute. They don't ride on them now. That was just, let's just say.
You park outside the Coliseum and they use
that's part of the show.
Yeah.
They had 12 coaches leased, and I believe it was 13 or 14 tractor and trailers leased, and they don't carry anything to amount to anything on them. That's just a big show.
Oh, wow.
Same way with some of the, remember Prince?
Yeah.
And them, same thing. Michael Jackson, same thing. Which for show. When you see 13, 14 trailers, it's got a picture of Michael Jackson or a picture of John Cena or WWE and them coming in through town.
Use 3 of them and 10 of them for show.
You can't get any better advertising.
That's true.
And them running up and down the roads, you see 12, 14 tractor and trailers. It
makes an impression.
Right. You can't get any better advertising. And they figured that out. But anyway.
You're driving John Cena.
Right. No. One driving John Cena.
Okay.
No, I had the script writers is who I had.
Okay.
I mean, it's all scripted. They write the scripts sometimes between. You'll never see them do a WWE show unless it's a pay-per-view on the weekends.
Okay.
It's all through the week, because on the weekends they all fly home. Then they fly back, and on Monday mornings, that's where the buses come in. Let's say you're in Dallas. They're doing a WWE show in Dallas, and it's probably going to be on Wednesdays, probably. Monday morning, they start coming in on the planes. I got a number that I put in the windshield. I have a time I'm supposed to be at the airport.
Yeah.
They start coming off of planes, getting on those buses. We take them to the hotel. This is just the ones that work.
Wow.
Putting up the rinks, putting up the. They change. You remember on WWE in the background, that big mess that that stuff that they've got on the back, and they walk through it sometimes.
Yeah, like the smoke and all that.
That's changed at every one of them.
Oh, wow.
Those rinks that they put up, it takes them forever to get them. They put microphones in under them, all different places under that rink. So when they hit,
it sounds like
that
the
sound guy runs it up and they go, pow, I mean, I really do. And the food, it's catered. They're catering people. It's all catered. It's nothing but the very best.
Vince McMahon turned wrestling into a big business, didn't he?
Right. And he meets with them. I don't know about now, but back then, this is 10 years ago. He meets with them every morning after breakfast. Everybody eats together. The drivers, everybody eats together. The wrestlers, everybody eats together at the venue.
Mm-hmm.
They cater it. Nothing but the very best. I'm talking about the very best. Whatever you want is
Everybody
there.
knows now why the tickets are so expensive.
Right. and that's true.
Yeah. Oh, the pay-per-view and the tickets.
And so he meets with them after breakfast, and he tells them, okay, here we are, say in Dallas. We know we're going to have like 20,000 here. You better get your script together and do everything right. Or if it's a pay-per-view, they really get on it.
Yeah.
And so then after that, they go to practicing.
Mm-hmm.
They'll run through that script the next day, all day long, practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you watch it, son, every move.
Well, they got to be in
better
good shape, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm fixing to say.
Yeah, man.
That's what I was going to say.
About Cena, John Cena.
Oh, Cena, they're all in great shape.
Yeah.
But the story on Cena, we were eating breakfast one morning. Like I said, everybody's in there together. I'm sitting at a table by myself. I had my phone like this, and I was looking at him. And my uncle, they had put him in the hospital. He had had a heart attack. And my aunt was texting me, telling me about him. And I laid back, and I was looking at my phone like this. And about that time, I heard something go on my table like that. And I looked, jump. It's John Cena. Both hands hit it like that. He said, "Hey, do you like your job?" I said, "I guess. Why?" I swear to you, I didn't know who he was. I was never a big wrestling fan. I'd seen him, but I didn't know he was John Cena. Exactly. I didn't know who he was. And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Put that phone up right now." I said, "For what?" And there's some other people had them out and everything. He said, "I know what you're doing." I said, "I wasn't doing I wasn't doing a darn thing except looking at my phone more." He said, "No, you're taking pictures down here."
He thought you were taking pictures of him.
Yeah. I said, "I'm not taking no damn pictures." And he said, "No, and it was him and I think Gravedigger or one of them that he's supposed to be bad enemies with. They're sitting over there leaned up on something, piling around and shooting a bull right in front of me over there. And I swear, I didn't know who he was. And he said, "You was taking pictures of me and some of the other." I said, "I don't want any damn pictures of you or none of them as far as that goes." He said, "You don't want your job?" I said, "I really don't care." And I didn't. To be honest, it wasn't my type of gig, what they were doing, you know. And I said, well, he said something. I said, "Well, you can't fire me." Because number one, that's my coach that's out there. And you can't fire me. And I kept, now I knew everybody was looking and, you know, he turned around and left. When he got through, one of the other guys, I said, "Who was that SO?" They said, "Hell, that's John Cena." I said, "So what? Big deal." They said, "Man, that's John Cena."
It is a big deal.
Yeah, I said, "Okay." Still never dawned on me. I thought it just a wrestler being a jerk, you know.
He's a big movie star.
Yeah. Well, I get through eating and start to go out. I remember, I never will forget it. Open the door, and right there in front of me was a trailer that had a big picture of him all over down the side of the pit. Said John Cena and all, you know, on a big pose up on it. I said, "Hell, maybe he was."
He is somebody.
Something.
Did you get fired?
Huh?
Did you get fired?
No. Listen, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. So I asked one of the other drivers, I said, "Who's driving for John Cena?" And they told me it happened to be a real good friend of mine. And I knew he was on WWE, but I had no idea. Like I said, I was just a relief driver for they come in. And so I said, "Who's driving for John Cena?" And they told me. And so I found him, and I said, "Hey," I said, "what kind of a fellow is John Cena?" He said, "Oh, he's one of the nicest guys." I said, "Well, he's one of the biggest
jerks."
He said, "Why? What?" "Oh," he said, "that was you that he got it." I said, "Yeah." He said, "He come on the bus talking about you." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Well, you tell him I apologize, but that he was bad wrong. that I wasn't trying to take pictures of him. I had no idea who he was. And that my buddy said, "Oh, Dennis, you knew who he was." I said, "No, I swear to God, I didn't know who he was." When I was a kid, I watched wrestling, but as I got older, I didn't care nothing about wrestling, and I didn't know who John Cena was, but I didn't get fired from that job or from that, and never heard another word about it, except that my friend that drove for him claimed that he told him what I said, and that he said he wished he hadn't have done it, if that's true. But I don't,
Never know.
Right.
Well, can't make stuff up, can you?
Oh no! I mean, it was. That's one of the. Was embarrassing in a way that I didn't know who John Cena was, and now I see him on TV, and like you said, in movies.
Was there ever anybody in particular you drove for on a consistent basis? You just
I was with Sammy.
Years.
I was with Sammy Kershaw for about 7 years.
Now Sammy can be a handful, can't he?
A double barrel.
Yeah, he's. I know Sammy. He I don't know what he does now. He's older now, but in his prime, he could cut loose.
Did you see where he got put? Where they arrested him?
Yeah.
Last week.
No.
Yeah. They arrested him last week. Nice.
I was getting ready to say he'd get in trouble all the time when he's young.
Yeah. No, at the airport.
What did he do?
Trying to go on a plane with a loaded gun.
That doesn't surprise me.
Sounds just
doesn't surprise me why. Just like
him. But no, I was with him 7 years, and strangely, we got along.
I got along. I've been around him a number of times. We've always got along, but I've seen him. He can be a handful.
Well, he was a lot like my dad.
He'd get a little in the liquor too.
Yeah, I grew up around somebody that was like him.
Yeah.
The thing that always amazed me about Sammy Kershaw, the least little thing would set him off. But something big that you think he would have a heart attack over and go crazy, didn't seem to faze him.
Really?
Now you said that was Doug Kershaw's nephew, ain't he?
Yeah, there's Ken. All them Kershaws from Ken. Rusty and
they said they let him go. They ended up not arresting him, but they fined him $5,000. He was stopped by TSA in the restaurant, had a loaded gun in his carry-on luggage. He was fined $5,000 for the incident. He was not criminally charged because he stated he was only half awake and not thinking clearly when he packed his bag. Right. He's hung over what he was.
Right. No.
I shouldn't say that.
No, he don't drink.
He used to.
He don't. I mean, if he does, it's strictly once in a lifetime. I never seen him drink but one time, and that was in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Just outside.
And we were out there. He went out there. I went with him on a fishing tournament. He wanted to go out there fishing. What's that lake?
Lake Powell.
Yeah. We went out. Me and him went out on Lake Powell fishing, and that night, who is the big, he's Chinese or Japanese or something that builds those lures?
I have
Shimoto lures.
I've heard something like that.
In Scottsdale or somewhere. We went there. And he bought all of them he could buy, And we went out there to Lake Powell. Here's another pretty good story. You on that feud that was around him much.
I wasn't around him for anything except concerts. So.
And we had took a tracker boat that they had given him as advertising.
Gotcha.
Pulled it behind the bus going out there. Well, we was out there fishing on that tractor. We was all over. Man, he's one of them that just like that all the time, just fast as he. Well, I'm one of them and I'll play with the line and stop it and jerk it a little bit and play with it. I caught a fish. He hadn't caught any. He got mad about it. He said, well, I'm ready to go. Oh, baby.
How long did you drive for him?
About 7 years.
Yeah.
Long time. I never, about 6 or 7 years.
You got to know him then.
Oh, yeah. And I still talk to him.
That Dale Kershaw, man, he acts like a lawman.
Oh,
He'd
yeah.
get going on a fiddle. He'd
Man, I'm telling you.
climb a
Crazy
tree
Cajun.
playing a fiddle. Yeah.
Crazy Cajun.
Yeah,
I seen
Crazy
him
Cajun.
once on one of them TV shows, I don't remember what it was on now. And you hear this fiddle, and of course you can tell who it was fiddle. And they filmed, the cameras going everywhere. And there he was up in a tree in a purple
I just said-
suit. I said, dude, something wrong with him.
I remember I don't remember what the variety show was. I was a little boy, and I got up for some reason, and it was on TV, whatever the variety show was. And I walked in right as they went to him, and he was jumping and hopping and going on, running up behind Steve. And I just stopped and watched him playing a fiddle. I had no idea who he was, but I've remembered that all my life, and it was Doug Kershaw. That's who it was.
Next time you see Don,
Bell, yeah.
ask him about Kershaw. We did a show up at
Pigeon Forge?
Pigeon Forge.
Country
one time.
Tonight Theater. Was it with Aaron and
Right.
Dave Worley? Or
Well, Don come up there to see me. I gave him tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when Don had the Chevrolet pickup that was a real sharp Chevrolet pickup that had, I think it had some graphics on it.
I don't remember.
Real good looking pickup. Well, he had pulled up somewhere. I don't know how he got where he got to, but he pulled up pretty close to the bus there. Well, Kershaw came out. He was behind me. Don was standing out there. He seen that Chevrolet pickup over there, and he was looking at it. And Don said, "How you like my pickup?" He said, "Wrong damn brand."
He wasn't a Chevy guy?
No, Ford. Oh, he loved Fords.
Lord.
I reckon he's still that way. He likes Fords.
He don't go out. Like they go out. He does some things still, though. I noticed. I haven't seen it. He didn't come to the Subway Theater no more, or the Pigeon Forge Country Tonight.
And Aaron Tippin, the boot something tour. There's 3 of them.
Well, they did a storyteller tour. Daryl Worley, him, and Aaron did it for a while. Yeah.
Now Daryl Worley's from. I
Here.
see him all the time. I see him. I live in Selmer.
Okay.
Right there by Savannah. So I talk to him all the time. And I used to drive for Daryl.
Okay.
Okay. It's not Daryl anymore.
Well, it isn't.
Mm-mm. It's Aaron and Kershaw and what's his name? He was never real big. He had one big hit.
Rodney Atkins? No. Well, Rodney had a few hits.
I always want to associate him with Diffie, but he's not.
I don't know.
I'll think of his name.
Okay.
But I mean, he was pretty big, and when I called his name, of course, it's not going to be somebody everybody's heard, but he never did.
Colin Ray.
Yeah, you got it.
I just looked real quick. The Roots and Boots tour, they were with
Boots.
Colin Ray or Joe Diffie.
Well, see, Colin Ray took off of it for a while, and they got
Joe Diffie.
no. Hell, we just talked about
Worley.
it. From down there at home,
Daryl Worley.
Daryl.
Yeah.
Got Daryl, and
Didn't Colin Ray, didn't he have a kid or something that died or something?
I don't remember.
yeah,
I
something
don't
happened.
know.
Yeah, something happened. I remember
Yeah.
just exactly what it was, but he just.
Who, Daryl Worley?
No,
No,
Colin
Colin
Ray.
Ray.
I don't know.
Daryl,
Him or
I was with Daryl when he was on the show doing some of the stuff with Kershaw. And I was there when that all ended. So, Darrell wasn't happy with the situation.
Don wanted me to ask you about the time you almost quit on Sammy in Barstow, California.
Tell the story about when I
Barstow,
when I quit Kershaw.
That's what he wanted
Barstow.
to know. Yeah, that's what he texted me and asked.
That is a pretty good story, come to think about it. There's so many with him. We had been to Las Vegas and been out there about a week. So we were going, I think we were going back to the House of Blues in Hollywood.
Okay.
I believe that's where we were going. But anyway, we had left Las Vegas. You ever been down through there out of Las Vegas, like going into L.A. on 10?
I lived in Phoenix. I used to drive up.
Okay, you know all about what I'm fixing to tell. You know where Thermal is.
I do.
Okay. Hottest place
in the world.
Supposed to be in the world. Okay. So we leave, and we were there on the 4th of July. That's how, and it was so hot in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
I swear this is true. The shoes, we had to move the buses because they were so far away, your shoes would get so hot walking to the buses till they'd start burning your feet.
I've been out there when it was so hot the planes couldn't take off because the air was so thin that they wouldn't have lift. They had to wait till the evening for your flights.
Right.
Yeah,
you know what? Then you know
exactly what you mean.
Okay. Well, we left there, going down back to we were going to Barstow. So was going down through there, and about the time we got to the state line there in Nevada, he said, "I want a hamburger." I said, "Okay." Well, there's nothing for a little while down through here. And like I said, I knew him well enough. I knew what he wanted. I wanted it and all that. And of course, I knew every hamburger joint in the country, how their hamburgers were, and what he'd eat and what he wouldn't, and what he'd throw out the window and go to cut raving about. So anyway, so we're going. I said, now Salmon's a pretty good ways to anywhere to get anything to eat. Now there's nothing down through here. Well, the first time you come to something, stop. I want a hamburger. I want something to eat. Okay. Thermal, first place that had a hamburger. You know, and they've got that thermometer out there in front. And I already knew he wouldn't eat it. I don't remember what chain it is. There's a hamburger chain there at Thermal, and it was something that I knew he wouldn't eat. I want to say it may be a McDonald's. It's there. He don't want to eat a McDonald's. He won't eat McDonald's anyway. But you know how big Thermal is. Just a hole. I mean, nothing
Passed
there.
it through it, yeah.
Yeah. So when I came to the exit, I just kept right on going past Thermal. Well, he is sitting up there over there in the seat, and he said, "Hell, there's a hamburger place." I said, "Well, you won't eat you know what I'll eat then?" I said, "No, Sam, you won't eat. You don't want whatever McDonald's. It was. You've always custom." Well, he's sitting, and he jumped up and run back there in the back of the bus. And we're going down there to Barstow, you know. I get off, and I knew there was I went blank. You don't see him anywhere except out there.
What kind of a? Talking about a burger joint?
Hardee's is
Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. There was Carl's Jr. there at that exit where I was getting off. So I just pulled in that Carl's Jr. back there because I knew that he would have liked. You remember that Western hamburger that they have that's got an onion ring on it.
I have no idea.
But it don't have mayonnaise. He won't eat mayonnaise. He won't eat all the. So I pulled in there. And I stopped. Jack Cotton was road manager at that time, and I told Jack, I said, go back there and tell him that there's a hamburger place out here he can get. I kept sitting there, and Jack never did come back. I got up and went in there. I was sitting in there eating. And Jack Cotton came in there. And I said, is Sam not going to come get anything to eat or what? He said, no. I said, I had to come in here and ask you what he could eat. I said, well, you go tell him he could eat one of these. And I sat there for a minute, and I got to thinking about that. And I said, you go tell him I'm getting my clothes, and he can drive that damn bus home. And back then, he owned the bus. Mm-hmm. You know. I said, you tell him to drive that damn bus home. I'm going home. And what he didn't know was there was a truck stop right across where my uncle owned a bunch of trucks, and I seen a bunch of them in there fueling. And all I had to do was make a phone call and have a ride home. And so I said, go tell him I quit. And I went in there and got my clothes and everything, got them. And, of course, one compartment on there belonged to me. I got my suitcase, I got my clothes out, I got everything out. Went in that Hardee's. I mean, Carl's Jr. And sat in there and went back to eat and everything. I was in there a little while, and I figured he'd jump up there. You know, he can drive a bus. Yeah. You know, he drove, and I figured he'd leave. And in a minute, Jack came back in there, and he said, "Hey, Dennis," he said for me to get him whatever hamburger you thought he'd like, and he apologized.
Yeah.
So I
loaded your stuff back up?
Yeah, so I got my stuff.
You understand about him and Lori didn't make it because they both crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you what I used to tell them. They used to call me about him and Lori. That old what's the name of Country Weekly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that girl knew me that wrote for that one of them. And she
tried to get the skinny from you?
She called me and asked me, and I never did tell them nothing that amounted to anything. But when they announced they was going to get married and everything, she said, she called me, and I said, well, I'm going to explain it like this. It's just like mixing gasoline and dynamite together. And it is.
Oh, yeah.
But Lori's sister, I knew real well, because she would be around a lot, and me and her would sit and talk. She told me one time about Lori that what was wrong with Lori, and I thought about it. You know, that guy she was married to just died.
The
real contractor.
Yeah. Okay.
That lived,
I didn't know that.
He just died last week, couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. But she's with him a long time.
Yeah, longer than anybody I know.
Ever knowed of. Of course, age
slows you down a little bit.
Well, not
Howard, but everybody else it does.
But this is what her sister told me, and I've never forgot it. She told me that what was wrong with Lori. And she told it to me. We were sitting in what's that old bar that's downtown? Tootsie's. We're sitting in Tootsie's. Me and her and another one of the band members that was playing at Tootsie's right then. Mm-hmm. You know, when they get in off the road, they'll go down there and play, And anyway, we're sitting there talking, and she said, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with Lori, why she's been married so many times. And I said, well, I'd like to know. And she said, well, she expects way too much out of the person that she marries. She expects them to be perfect, and they're not.
I don't think she ever got over Keith.
No.
I don't think she ever got over.
She blamed herself, the way I understand.
Well,
And here talk, she blamed herself
she
for
was.
not being on because she was on tour, you know.
Well, she
And,
was.
yeah.
That is the truth.
And but she was married to George Jones, bass picker too,
Yeah.
for a while.
Well, she was married to her bus driver.
Yeah.
Bless her
Well,
heart.
she was spoiled brat to begin with,
That's exactly right.
so tell you from right to her.
But I'm gonna tell you something about the pair of them. And I've always told people.
Sammy and Lori?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sammy, till today, I don't believe. I may be wrong because I hadn't been around him that much in the last 15, 20 years. He, honest to God, did not understand how the music business works.
That don't surprise me.
I mean, he didn't.
A bunch of them don't.
He thought that they came to the show for one reason and one reason only, and that's to hear him sing. Because he was good.
Yeah.
He didn't understand that the reason that they came to the show was because they'd spent millions of dollars on hype,
Oh, yeah.
hyping him up, the record labels did.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't have paid 5 cents to come see him if it hadn't
If
been,
he wasn't a big
if he wasn't
star.
a big star.
Yeah.
And that's the reason he treated some of his fans. They'd come up and say, "Can I get an autograph?" I swear, God, I've seen him do that. They'd say, "Mr. Kershaw, could I get your autograph?"
You know, when you was talking this morning, what was the name of them two clubs in Selma Plantation or something?
On sale?
Yeah, I mean, not on the
On the
movie,
state line. Oh,
The state line.
Plantation and Shamrock.
Shamrock. Now, who
The
runs
Buford
Plantation?
Pusser. That's all part of the Buford Pusser legend
Yeah,
back through
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Who runs it? Now, when your kinfolks run that plantation,
Well, my aunt
your aunt run the plantation.
is who he killed. That's who he killed.
Okay,
And my dad is who he knocked in the head and robbed and left for dead.
now which one did he run?
The plantation. So they came in down there and robbed him and knocked him and 2 other guys and robbed him and left him for dead. And anyway, he beat it in court. They did because they had somebody up in Illinois where he worked at some union bag company or something to punch their time card in. And that was what they used as an alibi, as we was at work and our time card proved it.
Who had a Shamrock?
That was my uncle and aunt.
Your Uncle Hank ran it.
Right, and he went in, my aunt was paying him, he raised it to 500, and that's what he killed her over. She told him she was fixing to spill the beans to somebody in Nashville, what was going on, because she couldn't pay him $500. And he doubled it. She was paying him $250. I believe I'm right. I may have been $350, and he jacked it up to $500. And see what when they made a lot of money down there was because of old crazy liquor laws. Over in Mississippi, this is the honest truth. It's hard to believe. It's not that way now, but back at that time, they had it to where whiskey was legal, beer was not. Over across the state line in Tennessee, whiskey was illegal, beer was legal. Then it changed. Mississippi, on the Alcorn County side, they voted and made beer legal and voted whiskey out. I mean, it's such crazy liquor laws. And what was happening is they got all the business because they were the first county. They, and that goes on at all counties and all these little here in the South where they have crazy liquor laws, And, of course, every sheriff, except for one, that was after Pusser, two. Well, they didn't get paid nothing for one thing. Pusser's the first sheriff that got a salary. The only way they could make anything is somebody paying, giving them a little under the table, and them letting them operate. And of course, the movie over-exaggerated everything badly. It wasn't like Las Vegas. They had my dad had an old crap table that I helped him make when I was a kid. It was made out of a piece of plywood, and he got a guy that come out there all the time that worked at the pool hall in town to bring some covering for a pool table, and I'd hold it and he'd staple it and all, all that, it was made out of that and some 2x4s for legs on it. That was it.
Yeah.
And it didn't reach from here to the wall. It was a little old bitty crap. Anyway, and
it's easy to throw craps on that.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they did bootleg. But unlike the movies, nobody at the state line ever, to my knowledge, unless it was back in the 40s or 50s, ever sold any white whiskey, because that was a bad no-no. If you sold white whiskey and got caught, that made it a federal offense. Don't want no federal tax paid on it.
Really?
Yeah, so you went to the federal pen for it. That's white whiskey carried if you got convicted of making white whiskey, you went to the federal pen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brown whiskey, no?
Yeah, but if you had bonded whiskey, the federal tax is paid on it automatically, and the state tax would be what
so you just get state trouble.
Well, and it wasn't nothing but a $50 fine. I mean, people don't seem to understand that.
That's the reason they stayed on these moonshiners in Tennessee, because of hauling that moonshine, they wouldn't get no tax off of it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they're asking for the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
it's all about money.
Absolutely.
Up at Newport, they called it Little Las Vegas.
Right.
Where you could sit up there and do you want to drink a moonshine, but it's served right across the bar.
Well,
if anybody said anything, they'd blow their brains out. They didn't care and drag them outside.
Well, here's the thing about down there where I'm from. We had some nightclubs, and they want to make out like, how many they killed. That's the biggest lie. I don't know of a soul that got killed there, except my aunt got accused of killing her husband, Jack, which is not so. That is not true. Towhead White is who killed him. And I mean, I'm telling that I don't know how many people are listening, but everybody knows that she just took the blame for it. But because they were divorced, and they had been into it, and he had whipped her or something, beat around on her. And anyway, over at my dad's place, he had never heard of nobody ever getting killed over there. And there didn't any individuals, patrons, get killed over at the other one either. Mm. That's all. And that tale that you Pusser told about seeing Louise take a ball peen hammer and kill a sailor in there, that's another big total
fabrication.
Fabrication. he can't even tell a lie right. He claimed it happened couldn't even tell a lie that it happened at the White Irish. The White Irish wasn't even built till up in the almost in the 70s when it was built. You know, he claimed he saw it happen you know, and the guy that he claimed that it happened to, I can show you. Mike Elam found him. He lived in Walnut, Mississippi, and he told himself that Louise isn't the one that done it. Towhead, him and Towhead. He was in the Air Force or Navy or something and thought he was real bad when he come in and jumped Towhead. Now, Towhead White was a different story from the rest of them. He did whip him, and not only whipped him, beat him nearly to death, and then run over his legs with a car. And but he.
Where'd he get the name Towhead?
Well, he had that all his life.
And it looked like a toe?
No. I think he was probably blonde-headed when he was. He come from Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Hey, Don got that Bud Wilder thing, all them horses, ain't it? They come measure what your dad is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Boy, that's nice. That big, you know.
Yeah, big sign.
I'll tell you what, about time for us to wrap up and get out of here. I better tell them about a few things happening at Sodderville.
All right.
We got martins of all sorts, and just whatever they can ship us right now. We got a load of martins. More drums. Ron said there's more drums.
More drums anywhere in the state.
A lot of them, ain't they?
A lot of them.
And we got
more in the back.
Sodderville. Well, how many people's heard it? I guess a lot of
Oh,
people.
Lord. Yeah.
It's on all your stations.
It's on everything. It's everywhere.
And they exhumed Pusser's wife.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they dug her up. The
Oh, yeah, you told me
TBI,
about
the
that.
TBI exhumed her because they found out there was never an autopsy done on her, and he was suspected from the very beginning of being who killed her. And
But you're gonna come out on that for long, ain't they? Maybe.
They've already turned it. The TBI's already turned it all over to the district attorney, Mark Davidson. And he been claiming he is going to release the findings at any time. I already about halfway know what the findings are.
At the election.
Huh?
At the election.
Yeah.
No, he's afraid he'll lose some votes.
Mm-hmm.
Releases the information.
Okay, let me tell them all about Sodderville. Come over if you need a martin guitar, Gretsch, Fender, but be sure and come over and look at these martins. We got loads of them. And Doug is putting up sound systems everywhere. I mean, he's really a good sound man. So we got a lot of things happening. Next time we'll tell you about Wild Wings. It's next month. About the 14th. What is it next month?
It would be the 14th. Second Monday of the month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 14th.
14th. All the people are going to come over and see us. But whatever you do, come by and see us and say hello and just look at all the things going on at Sodderville. Until we get to see you next week, let's think about what Mr. Walker said. You be good to the Lord and he'll be good to you, and don't take no wooden nickel. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12. Or listen live online at WYSHradio.com. And remember, if you have a question, comment, or problem,